right, welcome in everyone. Welcome to 2026. It's wild to be saying that, but here we are in a new year. I hope everyone got some break time in and was able to kind of recuperate and recover and kind of tackle this year with some fresh eyes. I know I got a little bit of a rest and recovery. So I was really excited to be able to jump back into the community this week, and I'm really excited to see what we have coming up for 2026 in the IT Leadership Lab. If you are new to the IT Leadership Lab, well, welcome in. This is a community dedicated to IT leaders. It's a place for you to share content, to learn from peers, share what you know about IT leadership, build community, and so much more. So in that vein, we also host bi-monthly webinars where you can discuss various IT leadership topics, and then we bring on real IT leaders within the space to share their expertise and talk about their own experiences to kind of help you figure out what you want to do with your own team. So I think that we have a really great topic here today. And speaking of getting into 2026, I personally love to have a set of goals for the year. I created a bullet journal for the first time this year. So I have all of my personal goals and some work goals and things like that. And I really like to spend this time reevaluating what's important to me and what I want to do in the coming year. And I think there are plenty of folks that are in the same boat too. And so I kind of wanted to get some IT leaders on to talk about what they are focusing their time and energy on in 2026. So my long spiel is done. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Clark, if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey in IT and what you're doing now.
Yes, so I'm Clark Sandlin. I'm the CEO and president of Zerka. We're a managed IT service provider for private equity, hedge funds, and family offices. We specialize in high net worth individuals. Been in business for 21 years now. And, prior to that, I worked for a private equity group directly, which is Hicks Muse Tate First. Tom Hicks, who owned the Dallas Stars, Texas Rangers, Liverpool Reds, who recently passed in December. And I'm going to his celebration of life on Thursday. So I'm really excited to reconnect with a lot of people that, from my roots and where I came from. But that's basically my specialty. I've been in IT forever, owned a Commodore 64 and when I was 12 and, worked my way up through help desk all the way up to where I am now. So yeah, that's about me.
Awesome. Yeah. And you have a lot of different hobbies too outside of work. If you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about Clark,
sleep.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how you sleep at all. Because I don't think I could get that much stuff done in a day. So
well, I'm going to share with you guys today how I accomplish all this.
Yes, please. Honestly, I would love some tips, because yesterday as soon as I got back into work, suddenly all of my goals and all of my habit tracking stuff went out the window.
Yeah.
So I went, now I've got work. So
that happens.
Awesome. Well, it's nice to have you back. Beth, welcome into your first IT leadership stream. So if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey in IT as well.
Absolutely. I appreciate the invitation. This is fun. My name is Beth Keefitt. I am an IT supervisor at Power Cooperative. So we are a generation and transmission cooperative. We make power and send power out to rural cooperatives across North Dakota and Minnesota. I have a different journey than a number of people when we come to things like these, where a lot of people come up through the help desk. I actually graduated from the Air Force Academy, and in my Air Force career was thrust right into leadership. So I have been an IT leader with some quotations around it in the beginning, being mentored from the very start, going back to 2007, and worked my way through the Air Force for a while, got out to raise some wonderful children and now have re-entered the workforce as of a couple of years ago. So blessed to have a fantastic, I oversee the help desk and networking system admin teams where I'm at now, and just loving. We introduced Ninja One into our environment a few years ago. Got looped in here, and for anybody that this is your first one, dive in. This is such a fantastic group and such a fantastic site to collaborate in. I feel like I've gleaned so much, so to be held on to take part in this discussion is quite an honor. So glad to be here, and Happy New Year's to everybody.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here and taking out the time to kind of talk about some IT leadership topics and things that you're looking to do in the coming year. So I wanted to kick off this discussion. I wanted to ask what your personal growth priorities are for 2026. So there's a question for both of y'all. But just what are you trying to focus on more in 2026 at a personal level?
Do you want to go, Beth, or you want me to go for it? So I shared all this in the on the portal, but I have so many goals. Obviously, I use a Franklin planner system, Franklin Covey system, and I've been using it since the early '90s. And that's kind of what I use to keep me on track and keep me focused. But this year, I've got pretty big goals that I've kind of pared down a little bit and digested them a little bit. I created project plans for all of this. I'm renovating a house to rent from ground up. So this is going to be a learning process. I'm actually doing the work, except for the floor, the subfloor, and the foundation. I'm going to sub that out. But everything else I am going to do. So I'm excited about this project. It may take a while. I have my usual, like you, Brittany, I have 5 books a month to read. One is business tech, spiritual, personal growth, and, a classic literature usually is what I pick. And then one of the big things that I'm focusing on outside of work, and these are all personal goals, but I have plenty of other work goals we'll get into later, but, I'm going to I'm trying to go to Russia at Christmas time. So along with that, I'm brushing up on my Russian language skills. So every day I'm watching, in the morning I get up and watch this 15-minute Russian video that I do. So hopefully geopolitically I can make it happen. It is kind of a squirrely trip because you can't fly directly. You have to go through all these different countries, and of course the process of getting into the country is like 4 hours long, especially if you're an American. So, but I have a high school roommate there, so he's going to help me with the process.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he's actually from Russia.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask how you had a connection there, so that makes sense.
Yeah, he and I went to school together at University of Memphis, and then he went back, and I moved back to Dallas. So
yeah. Well, yeah, those are some great goals. I think that I'm trying to also spend my mornings doing something other than looking at my phone, because I feel like I get into that habit a lot. So yeah, I definitely feel kicking things off in the morning with something that you want to do and something that aligns with those goals is really important. What about you, Beth?
Yeah, well, I'm not internationally traveling this year. I think we were talking about it before this. So for those who can't see, I'm in a sling. I had shoulder surgery a couple weeks ago, and all is well. But I think one of the best things, and it became the surgery center pegged me right off the bat, talking to my husband, and they're going, "You're gonna have to try and keep her down. Slow her down, get her to relax, to not do so many things, because I had to promise my boss I would not check email, and I think the last 2 weeks has really been, it's like I'm gonna prepare for this and thinking about it, especially the new year, just being more present where I'm at. I have this horrible habit of trying to multitask. And as you do the research, you realize we don't actually multitask. Um, your brain has to convert from one task to another to another. And yes, that skill can be developed and it can get faster. But to start something, end the thing, go to the next thing, time blocking has been a goal of mine in previous years, and I think it's going to be one that I really want to push about this year. Pomodoro is one that works really well for me, where you just set a timer and it's like 25 minutes and you just do. You flip the phone over, you flip the distractions away, and you go, okay, here's the list of things. And you're working on focusing. When I was home, one arming it, it was there was a lot of intentionality in my time being home, especially with kids being home. I have 3 between the ages of 8 and 15, and sitting, and they got diamond art, and we just sat and we enjoyed time together as a family. And I realized that all those little things that have been nagging me in the back of my head when they were that important, work could wait until I got back to work. And so doing that delineation, which, as I said, I was in the military, those lines get blurred, and I have some bad habits. There were more survival techniques that worked for me in the military. That moving forward, I definitely want to break that delineation between work and home, be home when I'm home, be at work when I'm at work, and just be present. I think this is my year to remember that nothing needs to move at 1,000 miles an hour, and kind of reset. Recovery from my shoulder is going to take 6 to 12 months. For somebody who is extremely active and likes to work out, that's tough. And so I think all of this is really time. Just realizing that slow down, and the world is not going to end.
Yeah, I mean, that's yeah, no, I absolutely get it. I think that having a work-life balance is so important. I mean, if you, it's that saying, if you don't fill your own cup, how are you supposed to fill anybody else's cup? And so trying to make sure that you're able to take care of yourself so you could also take care of others, especially as a leader, that's super duper important. So definitely think that's a great goal. So do y'all ever set trackable goals? So like, how do you you're you laughed, Clark, so I'm curious if you have a very comprehensive tracking
Oh yeah. So like I said, I keep track of like everything, and I have been doing it since the early 90s. My mom taught me, well, she introduced me to the Franklin Planner / Franklin Covey system. And if you look over here, there's every year going back to like the early 90s. So it's not all books, but I can like pull up 2007, this date in 2007, and know what I had for breakfast. I know it's kind of like ridiculous, and yeah, I'm crazy, but it's kind of interesting because you can pull up that day and you remember that day. You smell the smells. You kind of like, writing is such a tactile, it's so tactile and it helps you remember things, which is why I still use a paper planner. Yeah, I know I'm in tech. I should be using tech stuff, but no, I mean, I don't remember as well with tech, but when I write things, it helps me memorize or remember the task. So that's why I do a task list. So every year at the end of the year, which I do go through the Franklin. I think I shared it on the Leadership Lab. It's my roles and goals. So I do my roles and goals every year, revisit them. Mostly they stay the same for the most part, but then I break it down into my roles because everybody has multiple hats that they wear, right? Husband, father, leader, CEO, tech. You have all these roles that, oh my goodness, I need to accomplish something in all of these. So I break those down at the end of the year and say, this is what I want to accomplish in this year, in this role. This is my goal for this role. And, the important part for me is to revisit it every single week, every single day. So there's a monthly summary that you reflect back. And that's an important part because the with my ADHD, I had to get this tamed. And, it was such a problem. I have to track everything to see, hey, I actually did something. Because before it was I'd look back and go, oh my goodness, I didn't get anything accomplished today. I didn't get my goals accomplished. And that's self-defeating. I mean, it's amazing how you can go down this spiral and then just say, well, I give up. Well, the best way to deal with that is to actually reflect at the end of the day, the end of the week, end of the month, and say, what did you actually accomplish? And I was very surprised, as chaotic as last year was. I was like, man, I didn't get anything accomplished this year. But I reflected and saw, well, wait a minute. All these project plans that I had, I actually accomplished like 80 to 90% of them, which, that's great. So I started to go down this little spiral when I was doing my goals for this year. And I was like, oh man, I feel like I didn't get anything done. But that's the important thing. And we have to remind ourselves that we're actually, making progress. And for me, with my ADHD, I have to have my task list of everything I need to get done that day, because I keep coming back to it and I go, oh yeah, that's what I needed to do. Oh yeah, that's what I need to do. So this is my weekly compass, and it has all of my roles of, I have CEO, I have ops manager, I have accountant, I have homesteader, husband, father, and then warrior is my exercise goals. I create fun names for them. So this is a way to stay on track that I've found that really works, because it's so hard to get things accomplished when you're spread out all over the place. But if you do little digestible goals, then it's much easier to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you use a specific template for that, like personal compass thing, or is that included in the goals, values, roles, and goals mission statement?
Yeah. So it's included in the roles and goals. So you go through all of that. You go through, these are my values. This is my, integrity, father, so on and so forth. Mentor, and you kind of fractionalize all your goals for the year, and it gets kind of overwhelming because you look at all this and go, wow, can I do all this? Yeah. But you would be surprised when you break it down to, okay, in my father role, I'm going to touch base with my daughter like 3 times this week on a specific such and such, right? How easy is that? It's easy when you don't think about it in that perspective, but if you keep that in your, in the forefront every single day, every single week, it'll get done. And then you look back on it and you go, wow, I accomplished a lot this week. Mm-hmm. Whereas when I wasn't doing this, I felt like I didn't get anything accomplished at the end of the day. But when I started having to reflect and remind myself, I'm like, wow, I got a lot done today.
Yeah. I have a goal of, I'm working on a book and I want to finish it by the end of the year. And, I get overwhelmed being like, oh man, I need to write thousands of words at a time to be able to get to that goal. And then I did the math. And if I write 600 words a day, then I will probably go over the word count on it. And I'm like, oh, well, I could do that. Like that's not bad at all. So as soon as you break it out into those little chunks, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah.
No, and I'm with you, Clark. So I found a hybrid option because, and I'll allude to it forever. I'm sure the military, I wrote everything down. It was my brain, right? And it was some of my favorite notebooks, I bought during that time. And I used to joke with people, if it's not in my notebook, if you don't see me write it down, it's not in my brain. Like, this is my physical brain. And I actually found a solution with an impulse buy called the Rocket Book. And so they have, and I've already started writing notes, but they have QR codes on them. And then you can scan them with the app and it will send it to your email with OCR. And
oh my goodness, that's nice.
So this one, I got the Fusion one. And this is not a paid advertisement, I promise. But there's projects listed in the front. There's the next 2 weeks in there. I have a monthly, which I haven't updated since I got back, objectives, and then it goes into pages, and some of them are dots and some of them are lines. And then I just used Post-it note tabs on there. And so when I go to meetings now, or if I do one-on-ones with my team, I do that. There's like tips and tricks. You can title them, and then I literally scan it with my phone and it uploads, because everybody here uses OneNote. And so I was trying to keep up in OneNote. Well, Clark, you can probably relate. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And if my notes are, but I also liked that I could search my supervisor's OneNote and go, what did we see in that one conference? So now I write it. It's in this brain. It's in this brain. And then I can upload it and share it. So that was, it started out as a Walmart, $12 Walmart impulse buy, because they were trying to clear out their Rocket books. And I was like, this is, and it erases, I should mention. So it's a reusable notebook. You use erasable pens, or I spray it with water and erase it. So it's got like 20 pages, and one of my guys freaked out. He's like, you're almost out of pages in your notebook. Why are you scribbling on 6 pages right now? And I'm like, because I can literally just erase it and start over. So you're muted, Brittany.
Nice.
This always happens. Honestly, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. Yeah, that's really cool. So you can scan it and then upload it and then erase it and just use it again.
And move on. Yeah. So it's less, it has stopped me, because I would find a notebook that I absolutely adored. And I know Clark mentioned the Franklin Covey. Okay, can I give a shout out to those like early 2000s Franklin? I don't know if anybody else had those school planners, but we had the Franklin Covey planners back in the 2000s, and it was like my favorite planner. And I keep going, if I could only get back to that.
Oh yeah.
But this is my this is what's keeping me now. And I've tried, I've tried a little bit of everything, new year, new notebook, new pens, new me. And now I've got a drawer full of new pens and notebooks. And this one has stuck, thankfully. But again, I'm going to echo Clark. I think my husband does a really good job at this, and I need to do a better job, is his to-done list. I make fun of him because, I used to, and now I don't, but I do kind of, because he's my husband. But he'll even take like the notebooks from when we go to hotels and just write down everything he did that day. And literally to the point of, because I checked once and I was like, what does he write on here? Like, how does this man get so much done? Because it's 40, 50 bullets a day. And it's woke the kids up, made breakfast, reminded Beth to place the Walmart order, like all these. And he writes those things down, and then he goes back at the end of the day and he goes, I did good today. And if he fills one of those little notepads, he's like, yep, just a little note sheet. And so I think Clark nailed it there, that, if we don't take that time to reflect and go, did I really do things? You start getting that imposter syndrome. You start wondering, but I definitely love my Rocket book, and just to go back through my weekly notes, because as I have meetings, as I have things that I go through, and it all adds up. Robert just said it, small things matter. Like, yeah, it's that 600 words a day. It's, they never ask my third grader to read, 500 pages in a day. It's, hey, read for 15 minutes, 15 days this month. And I think it's a good reminder that we don't have to eat the whole elephant at once.
Yeah, absolutely. Do y'all have any methods of kind of tracking those little incremental improvements?
No, I'm bad at that one, though.
Of course I do.
I knew Clark would.
I mean, I'm trying to be better about it.
So on the thing that I shared on the Leadership Lab that has the roles and goals, there's also a project template on there. And think of projects as, want to write a book, want to build a house or renovate a house. I want to garden, plant a spring garden. I put all of the tasks that are related to that, just like a mini project plan, like what all do I have to do to make this happen? And then I can put dates to it. it makes it easier to digest, and it makes it easier to like, oh, this isn't such a big task. This isn't such, I could do this here on the weekend, do this in the, like steal an hour in the evening and do this. And so I use that project plan in that template, and then I prioritize my task list. And I just like, if you have a big projects like renovating a house, that seems like, oh my goodness, this is going to take forever. But if you do like small things here and there, you eventually get it resolved pretty quickly. And you look back and go, wow, that's pretty cool. So, and you start checking it off on that project list. So, that's the other thing I use is kind of like a mini project plan for everything that my goals that I want to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that made me think of an app that I use called Tick, but basically you can put all of your tasks together. You can group them based on specific tags. So like I also have home renovation stuff I want to do. So I have it categorized in backyard or garage or whatever it is. And then what's really cool is that each of the tasks, then you can assign it a time and date. So you can say, okay, I'm going to clean out the closet. I'm going to set aside 2 hours this day to do that task. And it's really cool because it blends the to-do list with me actually being able to visualize how I'll fit that into my day. Because I tend to, I think, over plan my days, where I think that I can accomplish a lot more than I actually can. And then I can use this to be realistic and say, okay, it's going to take me 2 hours to get this done. Well, that's a big chunk of my evening, after work. So
yeah,
something like that helps for me.
I do a hybrid of that as well. So I have like all of my tasks that I plan out on my paper planner. I also put them in my calendar. And what I've come to do is like, you may stack your, it may look overwhelming when you look at your calendar, but what you have to remember is like, these are things you wanted to do, but you can move them around, right? It doesn't have like, yeah. I got into this habit of, I have to do this at this time. I have to do this at that time. And then you're like, oh, forget it. It's gone. I didn't have time to do it and whatever. But here, let me share.
Yeah.
If I can. Let's see. I'm trying to, because I have a large screen and it doesn't present very well, but let me try this. Okay. Can you all see that?
No. Oh, there we go. Yep.
Okay. So this is kind of my day right here, right? Like from 5 a.m. Right. And then, but you have pockets of, so I'm very nice to myself. I leave plenty of pockets of time because emergencies come up, you get interruptions, and I got so many interruptions this morning. So what I do is like, I do research and study. Like if I didn't get time to do that, I just kind of, okay, I'm going to move this here. Yeah. So you kind of think of it as, blocks where you just move them around to get the, to make your accomplishments. And of course I have all kinds of exercise that I do in the morning that I really enjoy to do. So reading exercises. So morning I get up at 5 and I try and get everything done and taken care of. And then, I generally hit my targets, but sometimes like I'll wake up at 3 a.m. because my mind's just like freaking out and I don't, I'll sleep until 7. So I'll have to push all this. But it helps me remember to, make sure I get it done during the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that, Clark. So I have a question for you, Clark. Do you put your personal on your work calendar, or do you have those separate?
They're separated. So I have another email address. Here, I'll share it again, but you can see that they are, let's see. So this is work, this is personal. And I color code based on my, sorry. There we go.
Oh, okay.
This is personal and this is work, right? So I created another email address that I keep a different calendar for personal. And, that way, because employees can see my calendar because I share my calendar with employees and things like that. So, but yeah, 2 different calendars because, work-life balance, of course, and then I need to make sure I get these things done as well. Most of the morning time is my personal, and then, I leave plenty of room in the afternoon for emergencies and things that come up like that. So I also color code based on role and goal, so like you will see, let's see here. Open entire series. So you see, here's my categories: accountant, artist, gardener, homesteader, husband, investor. I always have an avatar that I use for the year. So this year's lion, and then president, CEO, wars, so on and so forth. So color coded based on roles and goals, and of course those go to projects as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that is.
I'm taking all this inspiration.
Yeah, this is great.
Well, this didn't happen overnight. I mean, this is years and years of perfecting. Squeezing every drop of blood out of every minute during the day. So, it took me years and years. I mean, I didn't start out this way.
Yeah. Well, I kind of wanted to go into those IT specific leadership goals. I was curious about if there are any kind of IT leadership skills or things that you wanted to accomplish for this coming year. So what is your priority as far as leadership goes for 2026?
Yeah, I think my personal and professional goals are going to align a lot this year, making sure that I'm staying focused on a task, on a project, we use Planner in Microsoft to kind of communicate within the team. And so I spent the end of last year before I left for medical leave to kind of set the stage and get those. I know we've had some great conversations as far as business goals, and Nate had a whole thing. And I've referenced him a few times as far as you take your corporate goals and then your business goals and kind of work down, and how goals from my level work up and how we support those. And so we have our department initiatives. So that's those set by my supervisor, but then as Clark's discussed, breaking those down into smaller things. How do those support up? What tasks do we need to do? What's our timelines? And so just, I found a meme the other day, and it said, the first 90% of a project takes 90% of the time, and the last 10% takes the other 90% of the time. And it's that finishing those projects. So from a professional standpoint, staying focused and then closing out those things, because it's easy to get to that 80-90% mark and go, it's there, we're good, we did enough, right? But to really mark it off, close the books, and mentally move on and go, yep, this one's done, and we can move forward. So just making sure that I lead the team in that and don't let my squirrels become other people's squirrels this year is a big one. So
yeah, that's really it's a very nice goal to have. How about you, Clark?
So for me, my skills. So I'm really, I'm really focusing on mentoring and the real, leaning into the leadership. I mean, I've been, working in the business forever, and in the past few years, I've been more and more focused on leadership and mentoring. So, that's really what I'm working on, and the skill set really is that I'm really focusing on is emotional intelligence with my staff. And it's really hard. It's very difficult, right? Because, we've been through so much in the past 5 years, and last year was just crazy. And there's just so many things going on economically and geopolitically. And, I see like my employees, when you're visiting with them, they're like, it's hard to, help them calm down, right? There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of, and I want to make sure that they don't have stress and they don't have the anxiety. And 9 times out of 10, you sit down and talk with somebody, you go, well, why are you worried about this? This is, they're talking about like, oh, I'm trying to take care of this issue and I got to get it done. And well, slow down, take your time, learn something here. This is a good opportunity. So, I don't think I've done enough of that in the past. And my intention has been to do that last year and even dive even further into that this year with one-on-ones and helping my staff. It's not like I'm a psychologist or anything, but I just, in the workplace, I want them to not feel the anxiety, not feel the fear, and not have the bleed from the doom scrolling come over into the workplace. So I'm trying to provide a place where, hey, this is a happy place where you can meet your goals and you can grow your career and work on your professional goals here. Let's leave, all the nonsense, the doom scrolling away. And, I've told my team this year, I said, like, this is the year of no doom scrolling. Let's focus on positive. Let's, the positive things that we can do in life. And, I also give this list to my employees, and some of them fill it out and some of them do it. And I mentor them with, how to manage their day and how to get more done and not feel defeated.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the skills I continue to, try and work on.
Yeah. Do either of y'all have any kind of resources that you're using to kind of help you with that? Beth, if you want to jump in, I think Clark said that he was having some internet issues this morning. So, yeah. I don't know if you have any resources or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we use Planner. That was a learning curve. It was a big discussion last year, and I had that conversation with my team of, hey, one of the big, so once a year, I do like a massive interview with my staff. So we are required to do like quarterly touch points with our teams. When I came on, I literally spent an hour and a half with and I say everybody, I have 8 people on my team. So we are small but mighty. But I basically re-interviewed them once a year. Tell me what your goals are. What do you want? What makes you happy? What frustrates you? What do you like doing? What don't you like doing? And we go through that. And one of the ones I had the last time, I called it tasks and asks. If I have a task for you, how do you want me to communicate that to you? If I have just an ask, how do you want me to communicate that to you? And I have it on a Post-it note. One of my first gifts in the military from my staff was a Post-it note dispenser. So if that tells you my love for Post-its, but I have a Post-it on my monitor that literally has the name of everybody on my team. And if I have a task to send them, how they want that sent, or if I have something I need to ask them, how do they want me to? And so meeting them there, we did decide kind of as a team that Planner worked best for us because there's those columns, because you can assign things, because they could go in and do updates. And it was just a dashboard for all of us. Doesn't replace our help desk. It doesn't replace anything else, but to have kind of that, and then just breaking those down and touching base when we have a meeting once a week. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long, depending on what people have, in their project queue, in their back pockets. But I think that's been the big thing, take those big things and break them down and associate them. So kind of like what Clark's doing in his calendar, I'm realizing now we're doing in Planner. We're associating them with the bigger goals. And so it gives people vision. People don't like doing things just to do things. So communicating that. And one thing as I'm thinking, discussing what we have completed. Hey, we've done all of this. You guys did a really good job on this, because I think in IT, we miss a lot of those attaboys. Things work or they don't. And when they work, everyone's like, well, we don't need IT. Our IT works. And then when things don't work, they're like, why is IT here? They break things all the time. So eliminating that doom scroll mentality, right? The doom and gloom of, danged if we do, danged if we don't. But it's just a big communication point between me and the team of where they're at and adjusting. But I probably have the advantage there with a small team. You know, you get some bigger teams, you're looking more strategic. So
yeah, I like the tasks and asks. That's a great. I'm gonna incorporate that. So that's the thing that I kind of miss too, is like, you know, everybody's different. Everybody, you know, and I posted this on you know, the forum, because I'm really kind of struggling with like how to reward people, right? Some people like time off, some people like money, some people like both. I mean, it's just like, it's such a struggle, but that's a great point, because, you know, not everybody hears the same way. Not everybody speaks the same way. Some people like email, some people like text, some people like in person, and it's such a, you know, complex. So that's a good ask. I'm going to add that to my list for this year. So thank you.
Yeah, I really like tasks and asks, and you are so right. Everybody's so different on how they prefer to be communicated with. You know, if I want something, if somebody needs something done from me, I would rather them just say, here's what I need from you. And yeah, everyone is very different in that way. Clark, what about you as far as like resources you're using to improve emotional intelligence or kind of work on those specific resolutions?
So yeah, we use Planner as well internally. And that has been very helpful. So I kind of duplicate the calendar thing there too. So I help the team like keep focused on their goals. Sometimes they share personal goals, like, hey, I want to do this 30-day exercise challenge, or hey, I want to get more exercise. So, you know, I help them, you know, personally, just kind of like talk, hey, how are you doing with that 10K step a day thing, you know, and, you know, sometimes you'll get well, you know, I did okay for a while, and, you know, it's just kind of, get back on it. You can do it. You know, don't worry about it. Don't beat yourself up about it. You know, life happens, craziness happens, but you can just keep going. So I think a lot of the reading that I do helps with the emotional intelligence. I've spent a lot more time working with, you know, the spiritual journey, and, you know, connecting with other people. And I've done a lot of reading about AI versus humanity and things like that. And that's really kind of my focus this year, is just like the human aspect of all this. So, I can't say I have a perfect approach, but, you know, just sympathy, empathy, you know, that's really kind of what I'm focusing on as far as traits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do y'all have a specific book, podcast, YouTube channel, something that you reference a lot to kind of learn those skills, or is it something that is just kind of a practice that you're doing kind of like on a day-to-day basis?
You know, I do. So I'm reading this book called Between You and AI right now. It's by Andrea Iorio. Yeah, that's his name. And it's a really good book. So the books that I've been reading is Humanity versus AI, Humanity versus Tech, Humanity versus, you know, robots, right? We get all this fear of they're coming to take our jobs and all that. It's all nonsense. I mean, there's nothing that can replace the human. You know, I'm focusing on the empathy, the sympathy, the actual human connection. And because we're a service company, that goes a long way. So I've encouraged my employees to solicit feedback, because we have, you know, in the ticket, when it closes, the customer can click on the happy face or the frowny face. And you know, for one of the goals this year, I said, look, solicit feedback, because in IT, we don't get feedback, like Beth was saying. And what they've experienced is, oh, wow, they really like me. They like what I'm doing. They were very happy, because sometimes you walk away from an interaction and you get that they're upset. They're not upset at you. They're upset at the computer. They're upset at the application, whatever happened, the problem that happened, and you got it resolved. And what's nice is when the customer does give them feedback, it's kind of like the reflect and the review. They're like, oh, wow, I feel better about myself. And I've noticed my employees are like happier, because we all get into this business of IT because we are very service oriented. We like to take care of and help people. We are helpers. We are doers. We are helpers. And to get that validation is very important for us. So that's one thing that has really helped us, is like really using that customer satisfaction survey at the end of every ticket and getting that feedback. My employees are just like, oh, wow, I feel great. And then subsequently they, want to learn. They're it's addicting. They're like, oh, I want to keep doing this. This is great. So that's one thing that's been helpful.
Awesome. Yeah, we actually recently implemented surveys too, and it's nice. We don't have them. It's been a little anxiety triggering. The way our ticketing system was set up, it would let people know when feedback was submitted, but then they couldn't see it. So I had to do some adjusting, because they're like, oh no, it's like, your parents get a letter from the school, but you don't know what it says. And so we got that turned off, but I get an email, since I'm tier 1, tier 2 support lead. And just today I got to send 3 emails to my guys going, hey, here's feedback from this ticket, verbal, like not the happy sads, but like the words, so-and-so was a great support here. And, this person helped me really quickly when this VP needed it, this issue resolved. And so, and I throw those in. I have, if you guys saw my Outlook inbox, I love the different theories of inbox management. We have one VP who has 3 subfolders. That's it. It's either handled, follow up, or on his to-do list. And so like he doesn't miss a beat. And then there's me, and I think I have like 500 folders, and there's subfolders, but each of my staff has a folder. And so when I get feedback, that positive, negative, neutral, if so I need to go to person A, I can open up that Outlook folder and I have all those emails. And so just being able to add that and then have that to touch back when we do our one-on-ones. But I will kind of loop back again and full circle here. So books are hard. I don't know why they're hard for me. My kids are great readers. My husband's a great reader. I am more of a podcast gal, I think. And I absolutely love Mel Robbins, right? And she is just fantastic. She had the book a 5-second rule. So she's got 2 more that I need to get into. The let them theory, which is let people be them, right? Let them, if they don't invite you to a party, let them. If they, do something you don't agree with, let them. And it's not an enabling thing, but it's a reclaiming kind of a power in your head, right? That emotional intelligence of people are going to be people, and sometimes you can't fault people for that, right? And then the high five habit. She's got one where you basically high five yourself in the mirror every morning. And it's that positive affirmations. There was one podcast I listened to recently, and it was like 7 easy habits on how to change your life or something. I'm going, okay, here's another checklist. And I got to like habit 3 and I'm going, oh my goodness, taking notes. And I need to do, and it's just little things on how you can incorporate habits into your life and kind of get that easy button of, doing the same thing every day, building that routine so that you wake up and the first thing you do isn't pick up your phone. It's to open the book, it's to do your meditation, it's to do a stretch, it's to do an affirmation, it's to do prayer, it's to do whatever you're going to do. You know, you walk into the bathroom and you do, you know, I'm trying to teach my girls this. Create a routine so you don't have to think about it. You know, and I love parenting because there's so many times you say things to your kids and you're like, oh, I should do that too. Like, maybe I shouldn't be standing on my phone in the middle of the kitchen checking my text messages every 5 minutes to my 15-year-old, right? Maybe I shouldn't leave my clothes in the middle of one of the big things in our house right now is put it back or put it away. Don't put it down. And so my 8-year-old I'm like, hey girl, she's like, put it back, don't put it down. And she'll run in and grab laundry or whatever it is. Because inevitably you talk about it, you're going to come back and do it. Right. And so it's those little, I really appreciate Mel's podcasts, her books, because it's the 5-second theory or 5-second rule is you count backwards from 5. If you don't want to get out of bed in the morning and it doesn't work counting up, you have to count down and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you launch out of bed and you just do it and you start to build those habits. And so there's that initial momentum that needs to happen. And I think I've seen her live. I think she's just a fantastic speaker. And so to listen to her, she really speaks to me. Doesn't mean she'll speak to everybody, but I think it's nice to find those podcasts or those books where John Acuff is another one. He writes books. I've read Soup and the Energy Bus, and I've recommended those in Clark's book list. I read those as part of a multi-level marketing team I was in, and John writes in a manner that is a story, but it's like a fiction novel, but it's teaching you things. So it teaches us things in the ways that we want to teach our kids, right? Through kind of parables and stories. And so I really appreciate his writing too. So when I get back I've listened to his on audiobook. They're fantastic. But yeah, Mel Robbins is my creme de la creme for the year, I think.
Yeah, that's good to know.
I forgot to mention the other thing that I'm doing with my employees, and I mentioned this on the Leadership Lab earlier. I bought all my employees a planner.
I was hoping you'd bring this up.
Yeah, this is such a cool planner. So, you know, what's weird is it's all astrology, right? So it's based on astrology. So we're kind of doing this magic theme with my team. They've all picked an avatar of which magician they want to be this year. So this is kind of how we do things this year. Of course, a lot of Harry Potter out there, and they're doing their goals and their roles based on these kind of themes. So we're all making the magic happen, basically. So that's kind of everybody's going to take in that theme and run with it. And what's interesting is, so our project manager, you know, read through this and said, well, wait a minute. You can plan projects based on the cycles of the moon. And I was like, okay, fine. But it's weird. I was like, okay, well, so tell me about it. And she came back and said, well, the phases of the moon are, you know, like after the full moon, it's a reflective time. And, you know, as from new moon to full moon, there's 4 different phases essentially. And you should not be starting projects in the reflective time. The reflective time is just to reflect. So it's kind of goes along with planning, like we talked about today. You reflect on your day. Well, there's times where you shouldn't be starting new projects. You shouldn't be starting new things. You just reflect and work your way up to it. So I was like, okay. Some of it sounds like malarkey, maybe, I don't know. But, you know, I'm watching it this year. We're going to see what it's like. It's kind of cool. But on the other aspect of it, I garden a lot. So I can attest to, there is something to planting by the phases of the moon, because my plants do better. You know, you do your roots on the the waning phase. And on the waxing phase, you do the kind of the surface plants like tomatoes and things like that. So that is true. I tracked that last year. So that's kind of what led me down this path. And
yeah.
I'm interested to see how it plays out this year.
Well, and you think the moon, I know you kind of get into that hippy dippy talk sometimes, but you think about it, like the moon pulls on water and how much of a percentage of water we are as humans.
We are.
Brains, and you go,
Yep.
okay, there's this giant thing in the sky pulling on the earth and affecting the earth. How are we any different from that? And I think that's
right.
The timing is such an interesting thing, especially who knew we were going to get gardening tips today.
Honestly, yeah, that helps me a lot. I have the opposite of a green thumb, so yeah, never started a garden. I've killed succulents.
Oh boy.
I can't keep a plant alive to save my life. So that's a good tip.
Yeah.
Well, so we got a couple minutes left, and I wanted to use this last few minutes to ask about what is something that you learned in 2025 that is going to impact the way you lead or the way you pursue goals or anything in 2026.
Not to repeat 2025.
Fair enough.
I think it's the end of 2025 was a clear reminder to me to finish what I start, right? Take the time, put in the focus, and finish things, because that mental load of carrying multiple projects simultaneously, when I've got documents from last year that I was like, we're going to finish this policy. You're like, is it really that hard for me to get everybody together and finish this by the end of the week? No. And I think to capitalize on top of that is that imposter syndrome. I think we all face it. And I believe it was said in one of the conversations we were, and I'm going to credit it to Tim. And I can't remember which session it was, but it was said that, if you've applied for your job, they read your resume, they hired you based on what you told them, and you were honest in that, there's no imposter syndrome to be had, right? They know what they got you, they're keeping you. If you're not on a PIP, right? Like, I think we're our own worst critic sometimes.
Yeah.
And I faced that at the end of last year, and I'm like, I've been gone 2 weeks. Do they really need me back? And you go, okay, that's not the kind of thoughts we need to bring into 2026. Yes, if I have a staff member who's been out for 2 weeks, do I still want him back? Why would anybody think anything different from me, right? So just leveling with people and being human and going, okay, we have these things hanging. I take responsibility, and we move forward and we close out, right? So I think, and I don't know what kind of mental load that creates for my staff either. So, if I bring it up 17 times, okay, is it worth still doing, or do we take it off the list and call it done and move forward? So yeah, I second the leave 2025 behind. And I'm not a fan of the new year, new me, but I think 2026 is going to be a good year for us. So
yeah, it definitely feels like there's better energy. I mean, everybody said it, everybody's echoed it. It's like we've taken this shift into better energy. So I'm really excited about what we can accomplish in 2026, and hopefully the geopolitical, economic stuff we can leave behind, and help our employees not have the anxiety of losing their job with all the layoffs and all this other stuff going on. So yeah, that's positive focus for 2026 for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you all so much for joining today. Really, really great conversation. I think there's a lot that people can take away from this. We will be back in a couple of weeks. We'll be discussing something a little bit more granular. We'll be talking about drafting an AI policy. So it's a little bit more granular and specific and tech focused, but
That's not
it is
fun.
something, yeah, it is something that everybody needs to be aware of, and
Yeah.
needs to kind of have that on their roadmap. So should be a good conversation. But in the meantime, thank y'all again for joining. Really appreciate you taking the time to speak today, and we'll see y'all in a couple of weeks.